In today's video, guys, we are finally getting the Golf GTI. It's already in the workshop. We are finally going to get the turbo, the IS38 hybrid, the Litco L500 turbo on, and the full exhaust as well. So I've been waiting to do this for ages because I wanted to get the exhaust on ages ago, just because the standard system is very muted, but I couldn't get the exhaust on because, well, there was just no point, because I might as well do the turbo at the same time. So I've had everything sat here for so long. So today we are finally going to be doing that. As you know, I've got loads of stuff for this car. I'm going to do as much as I can, but inevitably it'll probably spill into another video just because everything takes a while to fit. So I'm hoping though in today's video we'll at least get the turbo and exhaust done, and then see if we've got enough time to do any other bits. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and if you do enjoy these videos and you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. And also, if you're new to seeing this Golf GTI, this is one that I bought from auction, crash damage, so click on the top whatever corner to check out the other videos on those if you haven't seen them already. And then once you've seen them, come back and check out what we're doing today. So just to remind everyone what we've got, we have our Litco L500 turbo. This is a standard IS38, basically Golf R Audi S3 turbo, and it has been bored out to for a bigger compressor, as you can see there, look, and it's now capable of up to 500 horsepower. And we've also got some other bits that I just said about in the last video as well, but today we're mainly focusing on the turbo and the exhaust. Now in this box here is a, it's been so long I can't remember, it's a Cobra. So I've got a decat downpipe with a silencer, so I've gone for a silenced option just because I wasn't sure how loud it was going to be with the decat. I didn't really want a decat non-resonated system, so I've gone for the decat with a resonated center box. So it is all in here somewhere. We are going to be fitting, there's part of it, so we're going to be fitting that today along with the turbo. And also, don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the RS6. I'm struggling to find a time where I can get it booked in to have the DRC system recharged. A couple of the specialists around my area do not have the tool. Apparently it's a very expensive tool, so I've had to kind of go main dealer with this, and it's quite hard trying to find a time slot that we can both do at the moment. So it will be coming soon. I haven't forgotten about it. So just a quick update on what we've done already to this car, just to get you all up to date, because I appreciate that it is probably quite some time between videos on this. So we already have a Forge full carbon intake system with inlet hose there. We have RS3 coil packs with RS7 spark plugs. We've already got a Forge front mount intercooler. We have an uprated RTS clutch because this is a manual. We do have a short shifter gear linkage in there somewhere as well. And I believe that is all we have performance wise. I do also, which I've noticed over for a while, I have a coolant leak. It is a bit weird. It only doesn't seem to do it all the time. I've probably done about 400 miles in this car since we've had it all up and running, and it doesn't leak all the time, but when it does leak, it proper pisses out. I think it's the thermostat, which is, I think, at the front here, underneath there, but I'm not 100% sure. It is very weird. It will just all of a sudden, it will do nothing. Like I could do 100 miles, didn't lose a drop, absolutely fine, and then all of a sudden I could go 5 miles down the road and it's lost the whole coolant bottle, and it's literally, you can just see it pissing out, but I'm not in a position to see where it's coming from. And every time I've got it in the ramp, it's bone dry and I can't actually find out where it's coming from. So that is a problem we need to address really as well. So we've got that to do as well. But yeah, that is what we're up to performance wise. So let's get it up in the air and start. Well, actually, I don't know. We might start from the old top there, because there's the turbo. So we might actually start from the top. We're gonna have to remove. Might get away with just removing the inlet hose here, depending on how easy it is. Yeah. But no, I will put it in the air and we'll remove the whole exhaust system, and then we'll start with the turbo. I just want to jump in there, guys, because I want to thank today's sponsor for the video, which is Car Vertical. Now, Car Vertical is an all-in-one comprehensive vehicle check that you would do just before you buy your new car. Now, if you're a bit suspicious, a bit unsure, maybe the seller is holding back some information you feel, then you need to put the registration of the car you're thinking of buying into Car Vertical, and it will show you a whole host of details and information about the car you're trying to buy. Now, this can be anything from mileage fraud, accidents, used as a taxi, stolen. It has access to a range of databases, all the police databases from a range of different countries as well, and it goes through absolutely everything to make sure the car that you're buying, it hasn't been stolen. If it has been in a crash, it will show you, it will tell you when, dates, etc. It records all the mileage from any known source that it's been recorded, and it will show you a whole list, and then it will automatically detect whether it thinks there's been any mileage fraud, i.e. like if there's any discrepancies in mileage. It will show you a nice graph, as I'll show you in a second, and then that way you can tell whether you think maybe the car has been clocked. Now I'll just give you an example of a bad report. So we have this Volkswagen Tiguan as an example. Look, as you can see at a glance, it's checked the mileage, theft and taxi, all okay, but there is an exclamation mark over accidents, which means it thinks this car's been in an accident. So we can scroll down to accidents here, look, and there's actually a little map, and it tells you where the damage was or is, and it's checked all these countries, and you can see it's flagged up in the UK as damaged. And there you go, look, you've got loads of pictures of the actual damage itself, and that may be one to avoid. Another example is this Audi A6 here, look, so there's no problems with accidents, theft or taxi, however there's an exclamation mark over mileage, so it believes there may be some mileage fraud. So if we just scroll down, we can see that it's checked all the police databases of various different countries, and there are no issues with the car being stolen. As you can see there, look, there is a few discrepancies where the mileage has fluctuated. Then it is left up to you to decide whether that is a genuine or maybe it was a mistake when the mileage was input. So there you go, guys. I mean, I've personally used Car Vertical when I bought my last, or since I've known about it really. So the RS6, I used it before I bought that as well. The Golf GTI, the Porsche Boxster, all those I used Car Vertical before I went ahead and bought the car. So all you have to do, guys, is click the link in my description, go over to Car Vertical, and you'll get 10% off your car report for your next potential purchase. So a massive thanks for Car Vertical for sponsoring today's video. So I'm just going to quickly go through, oh, hello. So I'm just going to quickly go through what we're going to have to do to get the exhaust system off from the turbo. So we're going to have to remove this front wheel because we need to remove this drive shaft, which will then give us room to remove the cat, which is that massive unit up in that gap there. And to remove that, we need the drive shaft out of the way because there's a couple of bolts just behind it. I don't know if you can see up there. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because this has got the diff, the electronic diff, because it's the performance pack version, so it's going to be a little bit in the way, but hopefully nothing too major. So we're going to have to do that to get to the exhaust, and then should be just the one big clamp at the top. We've got a couple of bolts here for the downpipe, and then it's just a case of breaking up the system. I'll probably remove it from there if I can and take the cat back down as a one whole piece, and that should just then drop down. That's pretty straightforward. I think we'll just have to remove this bar here, and might not even have to remove that because there's a join just there, so that join actually might be quite beneficial. And as you can see up there, you can't really see much, but it should be straightforward. So first thing I'm going to do, remove that wheel, get the drive shaft off and start stripping. Right, so the catback part of it was very simple, literally 1, 2, 3 bolts, and obviously you've got the clamp here which I had to cut off. I don't know if you saw that in the time lapse or not, because I think it might have been out of shot just, but anyway I had to cut it off because the bolts were completely rounded, so that's coming down really easily. The downpipe is out, a little bit more difficult. Obviously, as I said, I had to remove the front wheel drive shaft to get access to remove the, it's got a little, well, cage type thing, bracket, to get to these 2 bolts here. So I had to take the drive shaft to get to them, and then removed the bracket off the downpipe. And then it was a bit more difficult because trying to fit it out this hole is difficult. So in the end, I removed the engine mount here. I ended up having to drop the subframe just to give me a little bit more room. And you'll probably just didn't see the end where I got it out. I ended up having to wait and find someone to help me just to pull the engine forward a little bit while I managed to slip it out that hole. But it is all now out. So very easy to swap over. So my disclaimer is that is not a D-Cat downpipe. I wouldn't do such a thing. It is a sports cat, and there's a catalyst inside there. That is my disclaimer. We've got our O2 sensor there, so all we've got to do is plug that in. I've already removed it from the old one, and this should be, because the sports cat is a lot smaller, as you can see, that should go in nice and easily, and nowhere near as difficult as that one. So we'll get this all refitted, and then I shall show you the cat back and get the rest. Oh no, actually, no crap, we're not fitting it. Got to fit the turbo. I was getting too excited then and completely forgot what I was doing. Now I've got the harder bit, so now we need to remove the turbo, which is going to be a lot more difficult. I think I'm going to start from the top. I'm just going to take 5 minutes to have a look and see what the hell I've got to do. So I've never actually removed the turbo on an E888 engine before, mainly because when I left Audi and Volkswagen, it was around about 2014. So it was just when like the 8V and the 7R and GTIs just first started coming out. So therefore there'd have been no turbo issues at that age. And therefore I'd never actually removed anything, any turbos. But it's looking fairly simple. We've got, where I'm tapping my torch here, look, we've got 4 bolts where the turbo is bolted to the head. We've got a bracket here, and we've got some coolant lines, which I think I can just remove with that clip here. I'm just poking the torch, and there'll be an oil-fed line, which I believe is on the top, and we've also got there's a oil return line there as well, and we've also got our intake and turbo actuator, which is electronic, on the top as well. So we're going to do the parts down the bottom first. So I'm going to start off by removing this bracket, removing the bolts that I can see here from the head, removing that coolant line, and yeah, just basically what I can get to, and then I'll show you where I'm struggling. Right, so we're nearly there. I mean, if you can see that the turbo's loose, it's come away from the head. I think I've just got one bolt at the top holding it all on. I've removed everything I can see down the bottom. That coolant return pipe from the block was very difficult to remove, but I managed to all get it out now, so I'm hoping that it should just fall out. The most obvious place to remove it is through this hole here. It is the biggest hole that I can see, so I'm hoping it will be fairly straightforward. So I might have to just bring the car back down just to remove that last bolt, and then hopefully it just falls out through the bottom. Right, so from the top there was a little heat shield here that obviously just protects the downpipe and the outlet from the turbo. Remove that. There's an oil feed here, and there's a coolant feed pipe down here as well, this long pipe here, which I've just unbolted and pulled off. We've also got our intake, which I've removed, and we've got our intercooler hose removed as well. So, and we've got our actuators all unplugged. So yeah, it should be hopefully pretty straightforward. And we've got our exhaust gap. I've just unplugged the sensor. Look, the sensor's still plugged in because it's going to be very difficult to remove from there. So I've just unplugged the sensor. So we'll be able to hopefully get all that out as one, and then just be able to remove that sensor with the turbo off. So hopefully, if you can see it there, no you can't, just one bolt left, so she'll fall out. Oh my god, I nearly fell out there. I've just undone the last bolt, and yeah, I rested it. Hopefully it can just fall out this gap. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's possibly something I haven't undone. So I've got the old one out, new one here. Obviously this has still got some bits on it that we need to swap over. So what I'm actually going to do first is just going to strip this one down so it's at the same stage as the new one. And then what I'll do is I'll compare actually both of them like for like without all the bits on them. Yeah, so I'll do that now and I'll show you in a minute. There we go, look, both turbos completely stripped down, and if you look closely, they are actually very, very similar in size. Now, the only actual difference that I can see is obviously the housing for the turbine here is ever so slightly smaller on the IS-20. Just see this lip here, and if we go over to this one, look, it's just pronounced just a little bit more, hardly anything. We're talking, well, I don't even know, 4 or 5 millimeters. So it's hardly anything, and that is actually the only difference between these two externally. Obviously, the difference mainly for us is going to be internally. So if you look here, if you look at our outlet turbine there, look, see how big it is. Probably, I'm going to guess, just over 3 centimeters in diameter inside there, look. And that is a standard IS-20 Golf GTI. And now if we look at our, obviously this is a hybrid, so it's bigger than a stock Golf R. Oh, it's very fiddly, and there we go, look, we can see the difference. I mean, that's more like 5 centimeters, so yeah, it's quite a lot bigger. So that is why we're fitting this turbo. So what I'm going to do now is going to put it back on time lapse. I've got all my parts here. I'm just going to build up the new turbo, and then we're going to get it fitted. So the standard diverter valve for the GTI, there it is down there, look, that's fine to go on here, there's no issues with that. Our actuator is going to be set up exactly the same as the IS-20, and if I'm honest, what I've done is I literally just cracked it off, so it was just enough to be undone. I've then removed it, and then all I'm going to do, I've marked it so I know exactly where it is, and then when I do it back, put it back in this one, I'll screw it up to the exact same place and just nip it up again, so therefore nothing should be different from standard. So swap everything over now and we'll get it back in the car. Right, so quickly, just a quick tip. I spent about 20 minutes trying to get the turbo in through the hole the exact way it came out. Obviously that's impossible. Things can't go back in the same way they came out. So I gave up, and actually what I did was I ended up turning the turbo around 180 degrees. And then originally I didn't do that to start with, is obviously because I saw how it came out, so I was trying to put it back in that way. But I didn't know if I'd be able to rotate it while it was in situ to get it in the right position, but it did work. So I turned the turbo around 180, it went straight in, and it was actually really easy just to twist around and get onto its mounting. So quick tip, turn the turbo around 180 before you try and fit it. Goes in a lot better. Right guys, I've just got the car back down on the ground. Exhaust is all fitted. I've just got to fully align the tips properly, but that's fairly easy. I have just removed the spark plugs or the connectors and just turned the engine over to get some oil circulating after I primed the turbo as well. So I am gonna, it doesn't matter that it's on a stock map or a stage 1 map, we've only changed the turbo and the exhaust, so that should be absolutely fine to start and run the car. I may need to take it out before we do any more, but I am going to start the car now so we'll be able to hear the exhaust, and I just want to check to make sure we don't have any oil or coolant leaks in the turbo side of things. So let's go for a start. I have no idea how loud this is going to be. Looking good. I can't see any coolant leaks. Seems to be running absolutely fine as well, so that is good. No oil leaks either. I'm not going to go mad, but I will give it a little rev now so you can hear what it sounds like. Sounds like a rally car. Brilliant. Well, it sounds like a rally car, so I'm not too sure that was the noise I was intending for. I was hoping it'd be a bit quieter than that, but it is in the workshop. Obviously, it needs to fully bed in and stuff, so actually that means it's going to get louder. Oh, it sounded right. I mean, we'll see what it sounds like out on the road, obviously, but that is it for today's video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. More of a bit of a more in-depth video on replacing the turbo and the exhaust. In the next video we will be doing the rest of the system. So we've got high pressure fuel pump injectors, there's a few other bits as well. We'll also load the base 500 map on as well, and we will be going for that road test. So as always guys, thank you very much for watching. Again, hope you did enjoy the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys.